Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Wow. I got a lot of text messages today from people saying that they were going to try and make it. In LA, that means I'm not going to make it. Don't be mad. But you guys made it. Thank you very much for coming. This is great. Do me a favor. Give it up for all those comedians that you saw. Weren't they great? I was thinking as I was plugging in my microphone here that germaphobes are having a moment, aren't they? Germaphobes are like, we try to tell you, you know. Thought we were the crazy ones. Well, you guys look great. You guys look like the kind of people that took care of yourselves during the downtime. You like learned a language. Maybe we have championship banana bread bakers in here. I've been taking care of myself. I realized I had to let go of a toxic person in my life recently. You ever had to do this? Yeah. Someone I've known my whole life and I got a ton of history with, and you know, I try to maintain a relationship for old time's sake, but every time it's just chaos and negativity, and it just sucks the life out of me. So once and for all, I had a conversation with this person. I said, Mom, can't do this anymore, Mom. Grew up in Connecticut. Now, knowing people hear that, they think that I must be rich or that I come from money. And I want you to know that's not the case, all right? I come from working class people. Not white trash. More like white recycling, just a cleaner version of garbage. Lovely place to grow up, though, Connecticut. State nicknamed the Nutmeg State. You know why? I don't either. Yeah, kind of a mystery, really. Something about maybe there was a nutmeg trading post during colonial times. I think it's time for a state nickname update. We should call it the Pumpkin Spice Latte State. That would be a much more accurate depiction, I think, for the people, while retaining that nutmeg flavor, you know? Connecticut people, they're like mad. They got their name spelled wrong on their Starbucks order. Like if Karen were a state, it would be Connecticut, is what I'm trying to say. My parents divorced when I was very young. I don't remember them together. And I would come home from school, and my mom would still be at work. And when I was growing up, they had a term for us. Latchkey kids. Today there's a new term. Child neglect. Same thing, different generation. That's all. My mom still hates my dad after all these years. It's like, time to let it go, Ma. I mean, what kind of person do you have to be to hold a grudge for 4 decades? Italian, it turns out. My mom's Italian. And mentally ill, but I think that's the Italian part, really. Sucks being estranged from your own mother. It doesn't go over well on dating sites. Oh, no. Women do not want to know you don't get along with your mother. That is not sexy at all. Even when I follow up with I'm extremely well adjusted after 20 years of therapy. What a catch. One time my mom and I were fighting, and incredible ability to manufacture conflict out of nothing. And finally I said, Ma, why are you always mad at me? Like, what did I do? And she said, every time I look at you, I see your father. That's my fault, Ma. I didn't have sex with him, you did. Time you stop blaming me for your mistakes. Like, I should be a serial killer based on my relationship with my mom. Instead, I'm a stand-up comedian. It's a fine line, really. Fine line. But I don't want to leave you the impression that my parents were all bad. They were not. They taught me some good values, work ethic, boundaries. My mom was a nurse, and my dad a social worker. So they were really good at tending to the needs of other people. Yeah, just not their own kids, because you got to draw the line somewhere, you know? You got to have boundaries. My dad gave me relationship advice. He said, Dale, marriage is the first step to divorce. I was 6 when we first had that conversation, so can't argue the logic. But then he gets remarried, and he's married now 30 years. And I got commitment issues. That's how that worked out. That's how that played out. Say you can't choose your family, and that's true. But you can block them on Facebook. That you can do. That's still allowed as far as I know. We still calling it Facebook? Is it Meta? I don't know. What is it? I feel like I can come out and say that I've always liked MySpace better now. I feel like, what's not to like? You got your own theme song on your homepage, you know? Another thing to know about me is that I'm hard of hearing. I was born with severe hearing loss. So if you're talking to me and you think I'm ignoring you, I probably am, actually. I got a great excuse, you know? Just playing the hand I was dealt. We should all play the cards we're dealt in life, you know? I have these incredible state-of-the-art hearing aids. These tiny miracles of digital technology, right?
Yeah.
$7,000 right here, $7,000. Insurance doesn't cover it. You know why? Pre-existing condition.
Oh.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Pre-existing. All the way back to that time I was born. But worth every penny because they give me something very special, obviously. My disability card. Yeah. Do you know what it doesn't get me? The handicap spot. Which I don't necessarily think is fair. I mean, some of the things people get the handicap spot for. Like what, you got fibromyalgia, can't walk a couple extra feet? Come on. I'm just saying, it just seems kind of arbitrary where they draw the line, right? Like there's a guy in my gym that parks in the handicap spot and he's perfectly able-bodied. Like you gotta see this guy's workout. He's doing kettlebell swings, he's jumping on boxes. So finally, I asked his trainer, a friend of mine, I was like, what's that guy's disability? And he said, guy's HIV positive. Right? I'm like, I have AIDS. I had to say it. I had to say it. Literally true. I'm not actually totally deaf. I'm like deaf light, you know? Like, deaf light sounds like it could be like a 90s R&B singer, right? They call me deaf light, you know? One of the things I do is I lip read. You know, growing up, that's how I communicate, is I read lips. And I mean, tell you, trying to hear someone speaking through a mask, impossible. Impossible. I got caught in a conversation the other day with a couple of Asian ladies with accents. We're all wearing masks. 20 minutes of no one having a clue what anyone was saying. But each of us nodding politely, you know, pretending we did. My worst nightmare. But you know, there's some real advantages to being hard of hearing. You ever get woken up by those leaf blowers at the crack of dawn? I don't. I can sleep through anything. Helicopters, police sirens, home intruders. I'm not waking up. I could be the world's greatest napper. Like, I wish napping were an Olympic event. I'd have a gold medal. I'm that good. No performance-enhancing drugs necessary. Best part about being hard of hearing is if I get in a fight with my girlfriend, I just take my hearing aids out and it's over. Done. And I get the last word. Technically, she gets the last word. It falls on deaf ears, so works out really well. Worked out really well, I should say. I'm newly single. It's one thing the pandemic was good for. Really forced the issue for a lot of relationships, you know? Especially unmarried domestic partnerships. Yeah, a real put up or shut up time for a lot of people. But, where was I?
Newly single.
I'm single, right? But, I'm not the only one. Did you hear? I read that since the start of the quarantine, that marriage rates have gone way down. Did you hear this? And suicide rates have gone way up. These are real statistics. And I can only conclude, when forced to cohabitate, death seems like the better option for a lot of people. I don't know how else to interpret that data. I'm a numbers guy. But we're on good terms, my ex and I. You know, we talk, we text. Sometimes we do things together, just not have sex. You know, like a marriage. We were together 4 years, and the relationship I was in before that was 8 years. I'm into LTR. Long-term relationships. 4 years and 8 years. I've come to realize my relationships are a lot like presidential elections. They happen every 4 years, and they have term limits. I always feel like I'm campaigning for re-election, you know? I'm constantly fundraising. And the system is so out of control, I couldn't wait to get back to the private sector. I'm all in on campaign finance reform. But here's an idea. We should have term limits for marriage. It's about the response I've come to expect. But hear me out, right? Term limit, like, look, human beings, the time we've been on Earth, we've made incredible progress, right? Science, technology, medicine, life expectancy. Not marriage. We are terrible at marriage. Term limits. 8 years with one person, then you gotta move on to someone else. We're doing you a favor. You're sick of the person after 8 years anyway. You've had kids, your constituents, and they are sick of the partisan bickering, all right? Here's what I don't get. With marriage, you have to apply for a license. But there's no test. We just let anyone get married because they feel like it. I think you should have to earn it. Yeah, like prove you can stay together, then we'll grant you marriage is how it should work. You know, show, don't tell. Look, other things for which you need a license, you have to prove your proficiency, right? Like a driver's license, you have to pass a test and prove you can drive a car. Pilot's license, you have to pass a test and prove you can fly a plane. License to carry a firearm. Okay, bad example. Forget I said that. Sweating up here. You guys know those Kickstarter crowdfunding campaigns? You know, your idiot friend posts on Facebook and guilt trips you to donating to a stupid movie or whatever, you know? Well, the way it works is they got a goal amount of money that they need to reach in a set amount of time. If they don't reach that goal in that time, they don't get any of the money, and your credit card doesn't get charged. That's how marriage should work. Yeah, announce your intention to marry, set up your registry, we'll order your gifts, set your wedding date for 8 years later. Just prove you can stay together for 2 terms. Like, how hard is that? If you make it through the 7-year itch, you've earned your marriage. Then you'll get your gifts. Our cards will get charged. All right? Just save us all the headache. That's all. That's all. I'll take those napkins. So I'm trying to date again. So I'm a hopeless romantic, what can I say? It's hard as you get older, you know? I just had a birthday, I turned 49. I can't believe it, you know? And apparently other people can't. They always ask me, like, what's your secret? How do you stay looking so young? Simple. Naps. Yeah. And don't have kids. So you can take naps. And don't do crystal meth. That's about all I got for you. Stay away from crystal meth. I'm like a middle-aged tween. You know? Tween. I said tween, not queen. But that happens a lot. People think I'm gay a lot and I can't figure it out. It's like, I mean, just because I've never been married and I have no kids and I live in West Hollywood, with my pet Chihuahua and drive a Mazda Miata with the top down, playing Madonna for my speakers. Never forget who you are, little star. Never forget how to dream, butterfly. That was for me, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so trying to date again, but you know what my problem is? I get turned off so easy, right? So much so I've come up with a system now for an immediate swipe left. Because we don't want to waste anyone's time, right? Life is short. Immediate swipe left. If you describe yourself as an optimistic person, optimistic, the polar ice caps are melting, all right? Oceans are rising. You got storms, fires, floods are wiping out cities and towns. We maybe have 100 years left as a species. And you're optimistic? No, you're delusional. Swipe left. If you list for your profession, life coach, you're barely hanging on. Who are you kidding? Who are you kidding? Life coach. It's like maybe a notch above stand-up comedian in the hierarchy of things. And at least we know we're barely hanging on, you know? If you say you love to laugh, thank you for distinguishing yourself from all those people that hate laughing. Who doesn't love to laugh? If you leave your profile with everything you don't want in a relationship and everything you're not looking for in a guy, it's like, we haven't even met yet, you're already nagging me. Swipe left. If you lead with your astrological sign, sometimes that's the only thing that a woman will put in a profile, astrological sign, which is usually the sign for me to swipe left. But I make exceptions. I mean, every guy knows there's a hotness threshold for women that believe in astrology. Except if you're Gemini. If you're Gemini, automatic swipe. You Geminis know what I'm talking about. I don't know, man. I live in Hollywood. If I wrote off everyone that believed in astrology, I wouldn't talk to anyone. So I come up with a system, a foolproof method for how to talk astrology. Works every time. Feel free to use it. It goes like this. They ask me, they say, what's your sign? I say Libra. Libras are the best, everyone knows. And they go, oh. And I go, right? And they go, of course. I'm a polite guy, so I have to ask them, what's your sign? And they say, whatever. It doesn't really matter what they say because I'm going to say, of course you are. And they go, I know, right? That's all you need to know about astrology. Oh, I'd never date a Gemini, just take my word for it. I feel like I might have lost 1/12 of the audience there. Back in therapy, after a 5-year hiatus, I had a good run. Had a good run. And 2020 happened. What are you going to do? My previous therapist, in my first session, at the end of the session, she said to me, you know, you really seem like a pessimistic person. And I thought about it, and I was like, I don't know if this relationship's going to work out. Just a hunch. And then she told me it was marijuana that was making me depressed. And I was like, actually, it's the only thing that makes me happy. Depends how you look at it, you know? So, really, who's the pessimist here? Now, I had quit smoking weed for 5 years, and then 2020 happened, and if ever there was a time to get stoned and lay on the couch, 2020 was it. But during those 5 years, I got to admit, wasn't depressed anymore. But I sure was angry. It's a tough call, you know? depressed and stoned or pissed and productive. Struggle is real. But I listen to experts. So I quit smoking weed. I eat it now. It's way better than the lungs. Way better than the lungs. I had a health scare recently. I woke up one morning, a couple months before the pandemic started, with vision loss. It's the weirdest thing. Like, I could see over here, but I couldn't see over here. It was terrifying, actually. I'm already deaf. What, now I'm going blind? It's like, sure am giving Helen Keller a run for her money here. Wow. Then I was like, one more disability and I could get on America's Got Talent. I gotta be careful with that joke in this club. A lot of AGT going on here. My girlfriend at the time, great person, right? A little on the high-strung side, right? A little bit like everything's worst case scenario, you know? First thing she said to me is like, "Do you think you're having a stroke?" Now, I've been working out 6 days a week since I'm 10 years old. I'm that guy, all right? And I didn't have any other symptoms I could tell, you know, no numbness, no paralysis, no slurred speech. And so somebody said maybe it's a torn retina. So I should go to the eye doctor. I went to the eye doctor, and he did some tests, and he could see I had a blind spot in my lower right quadrant in both eyes. But the retina looked fine, he said, and the optic nerve looked fine. So he said I should go to the emergency room out of an abundance of caution. So now I'm thinking brain tumor. Gotta be a brain tumor. So I go to the emergency room, they do a scan of my brain. I did not have a brain tumor. I had a stroke.
Oh.
Yeah. Very much a bummer. It was a bummer. My girlfriend was right. I hate it when she's right. But it was a serious thing. I was in the hospital for 5 days. I'm not your typical stand-up comic. I have health insurance, so different kind of comedy that I do. But doctors were baffled how this could happen to someone young and healthy like me, so they ran all kinds of tests and scans and found I had a hole in my heart, which was shocking. They needed all those tests to figure that out. I was like, if you just talked to my girlfriend at intake, could have saved us all the trouble. I mean, she's been telling me this for a long time. I was out of work for a while. I've had this job for over 20 years as a personal trainer. Great job. But if you were to boil down the essence of what a personal trainer does to one thing, it would be to help people. Not to have a stroke. Yeah, I got a lot riding on this comedy thing now. Personal trainer, not always taken seriously as a profession. When I started back in the 90s, I had a mentor. He told me, he said, personal training is prostitution with your clothes on. I was like, really? I don't know what kind of training he's doing. But I'm taking my clothes off every chance I get, so. But I'm under no illusion that I had a remarkable recovery. I couldn't be more lucky. I mean, I couldn't have timed my stroke any better. A couple months before a global pandemic, worldwide shutdown, hospitals filled with COVID patients. I mean, if anybody needed a year off, it was me, all right? But in all seriousness, I got to acknowledge that, you know, it was a life-changing event. You know, being told I could have died or been severely disabled. And it stopped me in my tracks. And so I asked the doctor the obvious question that anyone in my situation would ask in that moment. I said, "Doc, now, can I get the handicap spot?" Thank you so much. You guys have been a great audience.